And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I am talking with a good friend of mine, Jake Kelfer. Jake, thanks for squeezing me in, buddy.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Any conversation with us is always a good time.
It is always a good time. I just don't think we have enough time to talk about everything. So Jake, we're going to tell you what Jake does. He helps business owners and people become authors, very similar to us at Paperback Expert. Does it a little bit differently, but he adds some other things that we don't add. That's why I wanted him to be here today. So Jake, as we dive into this, tell us, first of all, how in the world did you get to doing this?
All right, I'll give you the abbreviated version, okay? Because I want to make sure we have time to dig in everything and make this one of the most valuable episodes your listeners will have had this entire year. Absolutely. Or even on this entire show. All right, that's our intention. So I'm working for the Lakers to start my career. I'm a basketball nut, all right? I start my career with the Los Angeles Lakers. It's Kobe Bryant's final NBA season. I'm like, this is a dream come true. Now I'm working with the Lakers and I see the impact that Kobe Bryant has on the world. And I'm like, people are spending their life savings to watch Kobe Bryant play one final time. Like, this is inspiring. And I got to see Kobe's impact. And I was like, I need to do this. I need to do this now. Like, I want to impact the world. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I can't be a celebrity like Kobe and impact everybody's world, but what if I can impact one person's world? And that led me to start thinking. And at 22 years old, that led me to saying, how cool would it be to write a book? How cool would it be to be one of the only 22, 23-year-olds that I know that has a real book that's available for purchase that could create something really spectacular? And so 6 months later, Kobe Bryant retires from the Los Angeles Lakers. I retire from the Los Angeles Lakers, and I launch my first book called Elevate Beyond, okay? This is where I got introduced to what the book world really was. I had no audience, no following, no freaking clue what I was doing. But I ended up having a ton of success with this book. Yeah. And we could talk deeper into what that looks like in the journey. But what happened was that book sparked more opportunity, sparked more impact. That led me to taking bigger chances outside of my book career. Yeah. I started speaking. I still worked in basketball in different capacities. I then wrote my second book. The pandemic comes. I wrote my third book. We're doing all these things. And finally, people are just like, Jake, you've been helping people all along just for fun and the kindness of your heart get their books done. Teach me how to do this, how to write a book, how to do it effectively, how to do it efficiently, and then how to launch it so that you can have a career doing whatever you want, whether it's courses, coaches, more clients, speaking engagements, whatever. And I said, oh, okay. Yeah. And so that's how I eventually turned the switch and made our company, Big Idea to Bestseller, the primary focus of what we do now, which is helping thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and experts similar to you take their knowledge and turn it into a nonfiction book to grow their business and make an impact.
Ooh, I love it. I love how you started with, I retired from the Lakers. I love that. It's like, what? So, all right, let's just jump into it because you've had a very similar pathway and experience as I've had with becoming an author and how that just radically changed your life and has really allowed you. I love impact because that's really, at the end of the day, that's what we're about, is impacting people and helping our clients take their message out through a book to impact others. Talk to that business owner who's out there, who's scratching their hair going, yeah, but I don't have anything to say, or nobody wants to talk to me, or I'm not sure if I have enough experience. You were 24 when you wrote your first book.
Yeah.
That, because there are people in my audience, Jake, I believe that are never going to work with me, but I think they could work with you because you've got a different process thing. But talk to that fear, that concern they have.
First and foremost, most people, and probably every person who's listening to this, has more than one book within them. Okay. 100%. And the biggest thing I want to share, and I'm going to give an example about this, how it pertains to my life, is that your story matters, period. Doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are. It doesn't matter anything about why you don't think you can, because you can. You just have to decide that writing a book is the priority for you to achieve the end result that you're aiming to achieve. Yeah. So that being said, okay, I'm 22 working for the Lakers. All right. And I want to take people back here because it's so important. I decide to write a book on career development. I'm less than 1 year removed from college, yet I'm writing a book on career development.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Every person was like, you shouldn't do this. Why do you think you're capable of writing this? You don't have work experience. As a matter of fact, most people in career development had more life experience, had more work experience than I had life experience.
Right.
Okay. But here was the thing. Here was the kicker. The questions that everybody asked me, my college fraternity brothers, my younger brother who's 3 years younger than me, every question they asked me was, hey, Jake, how'd you get the job with the Lakers? How'd you get every internship you wanted? How did you always crush your interviews? How did you build great relationships when you were in college? I was being asked all of those questions. And so I made the book to help that person, the person that I once was, get the results that I was getting.
Yeah.
And I realized that when I launched the book, is you don't have to be the world's greatest expert or the world's foremost thought leader on the topic. You just have to be 1 to 2 steps ahead of where your reader is now so that you can change their world. Yeah. And that realization was all I needed to know that my message mattered and that what I experienced was validated and could help somebody else.
Yeah, that is brilliant. I hope everybody heard that, because you only need to be a step or two ahead, and your story matters. And that's what I find, Jake, in working with a lot of business owners, is they're not telling their story. And that's one thing that we help them do, is just really differentiate that. And then let's talk about how you work with business owners, because you've got 2 or 3 ways, but you got somebody out here who's whatever industry, doesn't really matter because industry is irrelevant. It's the story that matters. It's the impact you want to make. How does somebody work with you? What are you helping them get done if they say, okay, 2023 this year is going to be my year to do a book? How does Jake help them?
Whew, what a loaded question. I mean, essentially, and I know that you focus on speaking your book, right? Essentially on our end, we just guide people from start to finish. And we call this big idea to bestseller.
Love it.
All right. And the way that we focus on is how to write your book in about an hour a day, because everyone that we work with is busy. All right. Whether it's a lawyer, a doctor, a coach, a consultant, a motivational speaker, everybody's busy. A mom of 3 who just had her 4th kid, like everybody's busy. All right. And so we figured out a way, and I figured this out because I was running multiple companies, writing multiple books, speaking all over the world. And I was like, I need to find a clear-cut process to write a really good book, but not spend 2 years trying to write something, right? Because that's one of the biggest deterrents we see from people is, oh, I don't have the time.
Right.
And so what we created, the big idea to bestseller method, was a way that you can write and launch your book spending less than an hour a day. And I actually decided last year, I said, you know what? I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And so I actually created an entire challenge called Project Bestseller. And I gave myself 90 days to go from start to finish, from I have an idea based on what I'm currently doing, and I'm going to turn that into a book, a full-length book that will be launched and available for the public. And so the results were this. And I want to share these results because these are numbers, and you can go listen to my podcast and listen to me report these numbers in real time, okay? I spent 17 days writing my rough draft, which was a 32,000 word rough draft, okay? So full length book. The book was 100% done by day 62, and the book was officially launched on day 87. Now, let's talk about how much time I spent on this, because I want people to really understand that if you really do want to get your message out there, you can do it faster than you think. Of those 87 days, I only worked 66. I had weekends to be with my family, time with my girlfriend, date nights, running my businesses. I only worked 66 of those 87 days. And of those 66 days, I spent between 52 and 55 minutes a day working on this book. So I wanted to show you that I followed the process that we use and that we help people do. And that was the time that was required to complete their book. And I did that in 87 days. Most of the people we work with finish anywhere in 4 to 6 months from start to finish.
Yep. I think that's so good, because it's number one, the decision to get it done. That's number one. When you do that, you need a process. You've got a great, clear process. It's really funny. You mentioned 90 days. When I first started my company 11 and a half years ago, I called it 90-day author, because we could do that, right? And we've pivoted, but it's so doable, but you've got to be committed to walk through that. And that's the cool thing about Jake's process, is it's proven, but they're also there to help guide you through the process, because a lot of guys would get into that process, Jake, and about day 22, they're going, I got other things to do, or I'll come back to this next week, and That book never gets done. So let's talk. I mean, you got the process to get the book done. That's great. How about after it's done? You take them to the bestseller, you teach them how to be bestseller, and then how do they make an impact in the world? That's really the juice behind all of it.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting here is that one of the first things that we do in our process is we ask people what's the actual objective. We call these intentions, and we have an internal intention, an external intention, and an overall definition of success. I want to explain these real quickly, and then I want to tie this into why we start here and then why we finish here.
Yep.
Our internal reason tends to be that gut feeling, that legacy feeling, that impact feeling, that drive of why you really are feeling called to write this book. We find that that's the internal intention. The external intention is like the recognition factor. And this is often the part where people don't truly want to admit what their greatest desires are to the general public. Right. And that stops them from creating the book they were meant to, because they cut themselves short before they even start. So we say, take off the realistic lens and go big. What is the external intention? What do you want from this? And then the overall definition of success. We ask people to get really, really clear on what does long-term success look like with your book. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be a bestseller. But do you really want to be a bestseller, or do you want bestseller to be just part of the credibility to allow you to go get speaking engagements? And so do you really want to sell 5,000 books in the first month? Or do you really want 5,000 people to have your book who could potentially hire you as a coach or a consultant or a doctor or a lawyer or a dentist or whatever it may be? So we start there, because when you understand the driving force of why you're doing this in the first place, one, it'll help you stay committed. But two, it'll help you write a book that achieves the long-term vision. Now, you said, okay, Jake, now they launch it, they have their book. How do we use this to make an impact? Well, we use the first questions about what is the reason you're doing this in the first place to drive the actions to create the impact. And this may look like, for some people, they want to do a lot of speaking engagements. Okay, well, how can we leverage the book for speaking engagements? One of our favorite ways is you give the book to the people that have the power to make the decisions, right?
Love it.
You have other people who want to raise money for their nonprofit. We had a client, she has a nonprofit. She wrote her book to raise more funds for the nonprofit. So she gives her book to potential donors, and that brings awareness to her philosophy, to her, and to her organization, increasing those types of things. We have other people who want to use it to sell more houses as real estate agents. Well, guess what? You now have a book that can be used as a client acquisition tool as well as a customer experience tool.
Yep.
You have so many ways that you can use it, but the biggest thing is, what is the actual goal? Yeah. And then you can use the book in a variety of ways and turn that into your courses, your coaching content. You can turn that into your social content, your keynotes, your workshops, your breakout sessions. Your book becomes the vessel for all of the following opportunity. And that's what is really, really important. So how do you use it to make impact? Well, you get clear on what it is in the first place you want. You get clear on how many people you want to impact. And then you find the fastest path to use the book to get that result.
Yeah. Wow. Well said. Go back and listen to what he just said. He dropped about 6 bombs right there of how do you use your book to generate revenue? How do you make impact in people's lives to get that goal? But you've got to know the goal first, which I love starting there. What does success look like? Because I think you're right, Jake. I think a lot of people say, I want to be an Amazon bestseller. Yippee skippy, like that's the end of the day. No, that's a nice milestone, but that's not the impact. That gives you the credibility many times to make the impact, but you got to know where you're going. And that starts with that goal, right?
And here's the thing here, because I really want to address this, because society gets caught up in bestseller status.
Yeah.
It's sexy. I'm not going to lie. It feels damn good when you hit that. And whether it's me or you, we're going to help you get there. All right. We're going to help you get there. But here's the real thing. You do not need to be a bestseller to have incredible success with your book.
Absolutely.
You do need to want to make an impact to have a lot of success with your book.
Yeah.
And to bring it all full circle, I don't even know if this is the transitive property or whatever this is anymore, but to tie all this together is you can't do any of this without completing the book.
Yes.
And that's really the big thing here. Now, can you make an impact without having a book? Yes. But if we're talking about wanting to make an impact with a book. You cannot make an impact if you don't have the book. You cannot be a bestseller if you don't have a book. And that is something that's really important for us to remember, is you are not defined by the factors of your accomplishments. You are defined by the ability to use those accomplishments to create an impact on the greater good.
Yeah. So well said. Thank you for tying that off, because so many people still have their books within them. They've started, they stopped, they started it, and they just can't get there. And that's why you and I exist in our businesses, right? To help them get it done in whatever way and methodology. Your process takes about the same time as my process, 4 to 6 to 7 months. Great. It's not an overnight thing. It's going to take some commitment. Can you do it faster? Absolutely. If you're committed, right? Jake's already proven that. You've got a program. Is it a group coaching program? How do you talk to people about that program to take them through to say, we're going to get this thing done? If you're committed, how do you help people actually get that thing done?
One of the ways that we really specialize in helping people write and launch their book is through a group coaching program. Now, before the eyes start rolling, because people think, oh, I'm writing a book, I need it to be personalized, I don't want to do a group. Most people feel that way.
Yeah.
Then they join a group program and their lives are changed because their minds are open. Because here's why. This is just the first thing, and I'm going to dig into some of the specifics of why this is so powerful, is that writing a book, just like being an entrepreneur, owning your own business, can be very lonely.
Yeah.
And you can have a lot of people giving you opinions when they know nothing about the thing you're trying to actually do. Right? Hey, you should do this for your cover. You should do this for the book. You need to talk about this. You need to share this story. Well, guess what? They've never written a book, and their opinions, truthfully, don't actually matter for you to be able to get your book done. They are a distraction, a form of procrastination. Okay. Tough love for coming here today. All right. But here's what happens. When we do it in our group, not only do people create incredible friendships, but now you have a support system of people who are doing it with you at the same time. They're seeing the struggles. Maybe they're a month ahead of you. Maybe they're doing it at the exact same time. The accountability is there. The support is there. Hey, I'm down this week. Come on, you got this. Hit your word count goal, right? It is an added form of support and accountability that you can't even find in just a traditional accountability partner or even a coach. There's value in that. Now let's get into some of the specifics of how we really break down and do this. Well, one is everyone who comes through this particular avenue of us, there's group calls based on where you're at in the program with me. So if you're on the first half, you're with me. If you're on the second half, you're with me. And you're broken up by that. We have implementation calls that are designed to help you activate and implement what we call book time. Concentrated efforts focused on specific tasks in your book. We have support calls with support coaches to give you differing opinions. We bring in guest speakers on how to turn your book into a course, how to turn your book into social content, how to use your book to get higher rates of podcasts, right? Like we tie in and bring in all of these different avenues. And there's a lot more that we do beyond having, back end videos, templates, handouts, worksheets, course syllabus. But essentially what we do in this group coaching program is we create a team for you so that you can win your own freaking championship.
Yeah. And
that championship is celebrated with your book hitting number 1 on the bestseller status and launching you into what I call a new stratosphere of opportunity.
Yeah. That right there is where you start really making impact in the world, because now you have a resource, an asset that you can put in somebody's hand, they can put it on their Kindle, whatever, and they can spend time reading, bonding, hearing, changing lives because they've got your message that's been bottled up in your head for so long. Love the process. And I love the motivation, because you're right, man. When I wrote my first book back in 2013, it was lonely. Nobody taught me how to do anything. I had to figure it all out. Now you've got this whole thing codified and laid out. So if there's somebody out there who is thinking about this, it's time to stop thinking, take some action. How do they find you, Jake?
The best place to find me is on Instagram. I love Instagram. I love the connection there. I'm at Jake Kelfer. And for anyone that chooses to follow me over there, when you get there, there's going to be a free gift, a free copy of my book, Big Idea to Bestseller. So you can pick up a copy of my book. It's Big Idea to Bestseller, How to Write, Publish, and Launch a Nonfiction Book to Grow Your Business and Make an Impact. So that's the best way to follow me and to get a copy of my book.
Awesome. That is the simplest way to do it. I'm going to capture that. I'm going to put that in the show notes in case somebody's like exercising or driving right now. They're going, what is that? But you make it really simple. And that's another great marketing principle, people, is Keep things simple. Put them on the lowest bookshelf of people's minds, because we're talking with Jake Kelfer. Where do you find him? On Instagram at Jake Kelfer. That's simple. Well done, my friend.
Appreciate
All right,
you.
man, this is good. I'm so glad you've been here, because you add something to my audience that honestly I don't add. I don't help people go through a group coaching program to get their book done. And I'm convinced, Jake, there are people out there that I know that are in my audience that have been just chomping at the bit to do this. They just don't know where to go. And that's why you and I connected so many months ago to say, let's work together. Let's rise the tide of authorship so that more people can make an impact in the world and change the world. Right, brother?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome, buddy.